We're live on the internet. I've dropped a stitch
Live on the
marker on the floor.
internet.
I'm gonna pick it up now. If I can find
Why?
it. There it is.
Why? Why would you do that?
Just,
Why would you do that?
just for funsies. Just for
For
funsies, I thought I could
funsies?
throw something on the floor. I thought it would be fun.
That seems excessive.
It turned out to be quite excessive, yes. It wasn't as fun as I thought it might be.
No, when you do the thing, when you open the phone and you scroll down and you want to push the last thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, but I'm going to update and add more options. No,
Yeah.
not what I
I'm
wanted you
doing
to
that. Okay, here
do.
we go. I know what's going on.
Sure you do.
Yeah. If I say it loudly enough, it's true, right?
Uh-huh.
That's how that works.
No.
I'm an influencer because I'm louder than everyone.
Yes.
Welcome everybody in chat. Asa and Melanie, Jude, Tracy, Nikki. I hope everybody's Sunday is great.
Oh, because that's a document and I want downloads. Which one's downloads?
I don't know. What are you
That
trying to
one.
do?
Trying to find your word.
Oh.
Oops. No, I don't want the big battle companion thing. I want the words.
Melanie says all the laundry is done and upstairs. I can enjoy this fully now. That's excellent. I have to do laundry after this because I need to pack it.
Yes, you do.
I've been kind of hoping Mr. Diana would do some laundry because he kind of said that he might consider it. But I don't think
That's
that's
a
happening.
maybe. Maybes are dangerous because maybes generally don't happen.
This is true. Hello to Jen and Susanna as well. So many people here
Oh,
today.
man, I'm gonna have to go back through. Is this the one? I need to start labeling this better instead of a series of letters and numbers. Even better, what in the
Tracy's
world
got a
was your
Dutch
word
baby and
last
warm apple
week?
filling for breakfast. So happy. I want that. Okay, well, I might have just figured out what I'm making for breakfast tomorrow.
That's good. I'm glad. I had the last of the tofu scramble with that vegan texturized meat in a bag breakfast thing that we bought and never ate.
Oh, yeah. How was
That
that?
was that was quite tasty. With a baked potato and that tomato, not tomato salad. Like it's not a salad, it's a tomato with some dressings, but
I
tomato
mean,
salad.
it's not purely a tomato.
No, there's spring onions and sesame seeds in there.
It's a salad.
I
Okay,
had that
wait,
for
then. Okay, did
breakfast.
I.
And then for lunch, I finished the last of the lentil stew with potatoes that was in the fridge. So I have to cook today.
Here, I'm
So
just checking my
bad.
pattern, make sure I'm actually doing this right.
Okay, I'm gonna sip my very, very, very full cup of tea.
To reach the thing, do the thing, do the thing again, turn. Okay, yes, I am doing it correctly. I'm like, I just did this yesterday, but I'm concerned that I was doing it wrong. But no, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right.
Okay. Oh, well then, shall we get started? Let's
We
get
should
this
get
party
started.
started.
Let's do the things.
What episode number are we?
339 or 3E9 because I still don't have
3E9?
another 3.
Okay.
It seems pointless to get another pack of letters because I only need like one more 3.
I'm sure there'll come another time when you won't have something and it'll come up and then you'll be like, but I don't need anything else.
Yeah, probably. Anyway,
Probably. It's only going to be a problem when we get to 430s, 433.
yep. Won't be a
All
problem
right,
again until
guys.
433.
Well, welcome to the Northern Knits podcast, where two friends in fiber who knit, craft, crochet, and talk everything in between. My name is Jocelyn, and my co-host is.
Diana.
I literally just asked. It's episode 3E9 or 339. It is officially the start of October. It's the 1st of October. Woo! This is my favorite month of the year, folks. I am a Halloween fan.
We're supposed to go up to
Fangirl.
29 on Tuesdays, so I'm
One could
skeptical about this
say,
October thing.
one could say it's my jam.
You should make jam.
I make compote a lot when I have toast and stuff. I make little pots of compote because I really only want toast and jam for like 3 or 4 days, and then I don't want to eat it anymore. So I
I
only
just had
make
an
enough
idea for a stupid
for
joke.
3 months.
But if you make some jam at home and you just label it with my, it's my jam.
Yeah, yeah. You would, wouldn't you?
I would. I absolutely
Yes,
would just label
you
it
absolutely
my.
would. Absolutely would.
It's
The
my
things I
jam.
live with. It is your gem. It is, as always, we suffer the joys of climate change. So too warm, too warm for the time of year we should be in. Not that that should shock anybody.
I feel like it's not news at this point. It'd be warm.
If it's news at this point, there are many scientific articles we need to direct you to post haste for immediate consumption so that you understand what's going on. I had a
People
thought.
are doing
It's
chores
run away.
today, or people are not doing chores today. There's two camps in chat. People are either doing absolutely nothing while they're watching because they've done it
Okay.
all or chose not to do any of it, which is
Mm-hmm.
a totally valid decision for a Sunday. Or
Mm-hmm.
we're accompanying the chores for the day.
I started this morning, but this afternoon is a hardcore filming, crafting, cleaning day. I don't have days off. I guess is the thing we have to understand.
I don't know if that's entirely healthy.
Well, I prefer it. I prefer doing 4 or 5 hours of design work or computer work or filming or other things a day than a solid 8 hours. I'd
That's fair.
rather always work in the morning between a time and a time and then always have 2 p.m. till I go to bed off.
That's true. That's true. When you say you don't take days off, it makes it sound like you don't have any time off, but the way you've structured things, I forget that your afternoons are very chill.
My afternoons are entirely for me. My doctor's appointments, I consider them work. Like anything that requires adulting as work and therefore happens before 2 p.m. Anything that happens after 2 p.m. is just come off the to-do list, so I have less to do later, and I pick and choose what I want. So I do the things I'm not excited about before 2.
That's probably a smart way of doing it.
And if it doesn't happen, then sometimes it doesn't happen till the next day.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. It's just how it works. Today, though, I got to do some crafting and stuff. October is a bit more serious because it's Crafttober,
This is true.
so it's going to be a slightly intense month for me craft wise, and I don't feel bad about that. Including thanks to my mom suggesting because I have leftover fabric from the pumpkin walking skirt. So I have the pattern for the pumpkin walking skirt requires 5.5 yards for all sizes because it's a Victorian walking skirt, so they're structured differently, right? I
Mm-hmm.
have a directional print, which means it only goes one way. It only looks good one way. So it messes with my yardage requirements. And when we
Mm.
bought the fabric, it was cheaper to buy an additional chunk of yardage. So you could buy like 4 yards at a time. So I got 8 yards. So I
Mm-hmm.
set 6 yards aside for the skirt, which will absolutely compensate, like the half a yard to compensate for the directional print, right?
Mm-hmm.
Totally fine. Also, there's gathers, and I've never been one who's super concerned with lining my matching my patterns up. I'm just not, and it's never bothered me greatly. So I'm certainly not going to start now. But I got 2 spare yards of fabric.
What are you going to do with 2 spare yards?
Well, I can't just make a circle skirt. It's a directional pattern. The pumpkins would be drunk, very awkwardly loaded.
You don't
It's
want drunk
not.
pumpkins?
It
You could
doesn't
totally have
look
drunk
good.
pumpkins.
I tried. I folded up the fabric. I held it up with the really easy half circle skirt pattern, held it up to my waistline, and went, that don't look right. So that's not going to work. So I was like,
Fair.
okay, what if I take a black, navy blue, not entirely sure what color it is. I think it's black. I'm going to double check rayon to go with this quilting cotton I have. I
Lisa
don't
says it
make
could be a project bag.
it could, but I don't want it to be a project bag. I'm going to
Fair.
take another solid color fabric that I have, and I'm going to make it the top of the half circle skirt. And then this is where, thanks, mom, you were correct, but it's also going to drive me up the wall. is I'm going to scallop the bottom of the black skirt, and then I'm going to have a matching scallop long strip of the pumpkin fabric. So I'm literally going to cut out the pumpkin fabric with a scallop, invert
Okay.
scallop at the top. I'm going to combine them. So I'm going to have a black skirt with a scalloped pumpkin rim on the bottom.
Ooh. Okay.
Which now you know why I'm not turning it into a bag. But it also means I voluntarily decided that the bottom hem of my circle skirt, which will be wide, even at a half circle, wide, I'm going to sew this shape forever.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to have to make a template. I'm going to have to make a template. I need a template. And there's no point in me not making the template in something permanent like cardboard or heavy cardstock, just in case I decide I need to make it again.
Mm-hmm.
Because step
That
one,
sounds like too much effort, but it's going to be really cute.
it's going to be so cute. I'm going to swear the whole way through. But because it's made with non-stretchy fabrics, I can put pockets in it. So yes,
Ooh.
so that'll
Yes.
happen. Because pockets and stretchy fabric is just dumb.
It doesn't work very well. I have
It does.
I
It
mean,
doesn't
even
work
the
at
pants
all.
I'm wearing are kind of stretchy, and trying to put my phone in the pocket is like,
Nope.
it works, I guess.
No, it doesn't work. It pulls your pants. It puts additional stress on, and it gives you a weird lump because the stretchy fabrics doesn't have the structure for it.
Yeah.
So you can do it, but you look kind of dumb.
Wah.
You just do it with woven fabrics. Woven fabrics, they don't care as much. They have structure. So that's what I'm going to do with the last 2 yards. I'm going to start with the black skirt first, like the black part, the pockets, and do those two pieces,
Lisa says permanent
and
template in
then
case you forget how much fun you had the first time, in quotations.
always when permanent templates are an option, you take the permanent template option. I have bodice blocks for when I make shirts and tops and things. Those bodice blocks are the product of many, many, many trial and error fits, and they're perfect. They're in cardboard and labeled in very large marker because I will never misplace these stupid front and back and sleeve bodice box because it makes a perfect fitted shirt, and I never want to do that again,
No.
ever.
No, I can imagine.
But put down that cardboard bodice block pattern, come out 3/4 of an inch and cut around it because there's no seams. And it says no seams on it, so I remember that there's no seams. Done. Same with like my circle skirts, the top, like the waistband for A-line skirt, half circle skirt, 3/4 skirt, and full circle skirt are cut out of wrapping paper because it's a better paper than the tissue paper.
Yeah, well, tissue paper is like rips
You
when you
use it once
sneeze
and
too
it's
hard.
destroyed. Yeah, I hate the tissue paper. So and my Victorian patterns are from Truly Victorian, or literally out of free to read books because they're like the 16th century pirate like workman shirt. It's a series of rectangles. I don't have a pattern for that. I am going to measure out the rectangle size I need, mark it, cut it, because it is a series of rectangles. I'll
Drop
probably
stitch.
bother to make a small neck collar template piece, but that'll be
Okay.
it. I'm not making a template for the front and back of a workman shirt since they're two rectangles sewn together at the seams with a slash down the front for where your head goes in.
Yeah, well, you can just write down numbers for that.
Yeah, I'm just writing down numbers for that. So, but yeah, some things, yeah, yeah. Same with like the corsets, because like right now I'm going through the fitting of the corset. Once the mock corset is what I want it to be, it is being pulled apart and that is being copied to be my template for the corsets of that style of that specific age. I have to do it with every age because corset shapes change.
Yes.
So one step at a time. And once I have an excellent fitted corset for Victorian, I don't want to have to ever redo it again. I just want to be able to pull out my pattern pieces and go. And my girls, they ain't getting any smaller. This is the size they are. Ain't gonna shrink, so it's fine. The rest of me can get a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, which is perfectly natural. That's easier to accommodate for than a change in the bust line. Needless to say, I both love and hate mock-ups. They're like gauge swatches for sewing.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to do them, but oh my god, they're helpful.
But they make the rest of the project go so much faster. The prep work is important.
Prep work is so important, and it is also the most boring thing on the planet. I have projects that I could finish if I just bothered to pull my iron out and press seams.
Uh-huh.
And I know if you don't press your seams, it looks homemade, not professional. I know that pressing your seams makes that big of a difference.
Like blocking.
Like blocking. It's just a thing you gotta
It's
do.
the difference. It makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference. Does that mean I pulled my iron out? No, I have not.
Lisa wants to try stays, not corsets.
Stays are lovely, and they tend to be slightly less complicated for cut shapes because most of the structure of a corset's actually how you cut the fabric. It doesn't have anything to do with the boning because the best synthetic whale boning is zip ties. So if any of you guys have looked at how floppy a zip tie is, that's what whale boning is.
Lisa says ironing sprints.
I might have to.
Next time we do whip sprints, it's for ironing seams.
And everybody sees me, and it's just like, so Diana bought me earbuds, so I'm unwired. Because I'm going to go iron for this whip sprint.
Like, what is this weird sound that I'm hearing? Mr. Diana's priming models or something. It's the paint can shaky sound.
Oh, the paint can's shaky sound. Okay, that's fair. All right. Well, I'm drinking some French roast.
As he rattles it all the way past the room where I'm streaming. It's fine. It's fine.
Whatever. We don't pick it up. I'm drinking some tea in the beautiful purple stoneware mug that Diana bought me as our yarn exchange.
It's not a yarn, but you know what? It's fine.
We went to the Manitoba Fiber Festival, and she was like, I didn't bother to bring you anything, so pick a yarn thing. And I was like, can I pick a mug instead? And she's like, yeah, of course you can. So I picked a mug that costs approximately the same amount as a skein of yarn.
Works for me. And then I didn't have to pack anything in my very small suitcase.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't have to make any decisions on what it is I wanted.
Also that. You can pick.
I did the same thing to her. I set her down in front of here, and I said, go ahead, pick one. And she went, and I left the room. That's how supportive I am. I like that yarn exchange. I think we should do that again.
Yeah, that was fun.
In the new year. Hilarious that our names were drawn together, but okay, sure. I'll take it.
You know, you gotta do what the draw says, I guess.
It's what happened. I gotta survive the Advent swap for this year first.
Yeah, I gotta
get that done.
I have plans. God. I've not executed any of the plans, but I have the plans.
Half the plan has been executed. The other half of the plan needs to be finished.
In my mushroom cup, I have, not that it looks pretty now, but one of the most perfect cappuccinos that I have ever poured. I did my latte art so good, I had to take a picture. You guys. I was like professional quality latte art this morning. I'm just too excited about this.
Latte art's a lot harder than people think, I think.
But like, look at that.
That turned out amazing.
Right? Like, that's professional right there.
That looks so good. Well,
I'm so excited.
I need a milk frother. That's what I need.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. I've done it professional quality like twice now. And I don't generally abjectly fail anymore, so it only took 3 years of near daily cappuccinos for me to lock in how to do the pour.
Which is probably the equivalent of somebody learning at a coffee shop for a month.
Well, yeah, and also I was entirely self-taught based on YouTube videos.
Oh, yeah, so you're winging it.
So if I had been standing with someone at a coffee shop, I'm sure I could have learned in under an hour.
Oh, yeah, being taught, it would have been a lot better. YouTube videos.
But, 3 years, one cappuccino a day.
Finally
got there.
It'll do.
Uh,
It's
that's
fine.
what I'm drinking today. Whoops. No, stay up here, little horns.
All right. Okay, so
Shall
I
we
have.
talk projects?
We should talk about woolly workings. I have one, two, three, four things.
I was supremely monogamous because Dad's birthday
5
is on
things?
Tuesday.
Did
So,
I have a second finished mint last week? I don't think I
I
did.
believe you'd started a second mitt last week. You had a finished
I
mitt and a
have.
start.
I have 5 projects.
Okay, well, you get to go first because I have two.
Oh, goody.
Sorry. But you know, Dad's birthday is on Tuesday and I'm trying to finish his present.
Listen, you're fun employed. You figure out how to craft more, ma'am.
I, you know,
Yeah,
there's a
that's
limit to
right.
what my hand can do.
Which just means you got to strengthen your arms and your hands.
Yes, but that doesn't happen overnight. I'm working on it, but it doesn't happen overnight. Two
Look,
finished
there's two of
mitts.
them. Slightly
That's
different
right.
tops because I was designing and I like this top better.
The
This top
roundier
better?
one?
I like the reindeer top better. So the pattern will have
Yeah.
this roundier version, which I like better than the pointier version. I had options, so I was like, well, we'll do one way and one the other way, and I'll see which one I like because these are mine. And the one I like best is the one I'll publish, right? So that's
Yep.
what I did. But
That
I
makes
have two
sense.
mittens.
Excellent.
Are the ends woven in? Absolutely not. Is
That's
this a
fine.
good
They don't need to
thing?
be woven in for pictures.
Not really. And I have to tighten up some of my. I was a little loose on the edge. I didn't pull it tight as often as I should have.
Ah,
So
yeah,
I've got
that
like those
happens.
little gaps going there sometimes, which happens with Magic Loop occasionally. So, which also I don't have to worry about for photos, but then I need to turn these inside out and mend them up properly. So I have a pair of mittens and I have a
Woohoo!
hat, which I finished last week.
Man, I love that with the color sets. And you know, I have that five
I hope
color
you do
set from
because
Midnight Cravings.
I need to finish this cowl before you get into town because I need to borrow your face.
Okay.
I need photos. And if you come
I'm
on
willing to take a
Monday,
photo.
if you come on Monday and we go get coffee before we record,
Mmm.
which I think you
Yes,
might want to do because you do like the coffee shop near me.
I
If you make it here
do.
by lunchtime, we can do bagels for lunch. Like we can do the whole thing. You just got to
That's
make
a
it
great
here
motivation.
by lunchtime. Because if you make it here for lunchtime, you can have bagels and coffee, and then we can record. Um, I want to get the cowl finished, which I'm working on, so I'm going to show next, because then I can talk about it all in one go. Because it's 5 skeins of the same yarn set. If I get this done, and yeah, we're crammed up on a small needle because I don't want to magic loop it. If I get this done, we can get some photos taken. But yes, your Midnight Craving set, really pretty.
Right?
So
Because
this,
it's this one right behind me. It has because it's got like the copper and the blues and the grays,
yep.
which is not actually totally dissimilar from the color palette you're using.
Not really, no.
I
Which
just don't
doesn't
have any of
surprise me.
the highly variegated speckly ones. They're all more solids ish.
That's fine. It just means your stripes will be more solid than mine.
Yeah.
All.
Oh, they're
So
so
this is the
pretty.
cowl. We're kind of crammed on a smaller needle because that's how it works. But this is Erin of Fireweed Fiber Co. This is one of her 5 skein grab bag sets that I am absolutely in love with her grab bag sets. So I got one and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. And then this idea percolated in my my brain pan for a while. So I'd like to get this done. These are the longest rows, and I knew they were going to be the longest rows. So I have to intersperse this with something else. Sometimes I don't want to.
Fair.
Just not a problem for the project. It's that I'm literally this has been like 30 hours a week for 2 weeks now, 3 weeks now.
Oof.
My brain's just bored. I want to work on something else. You guys know me.
I understand.
Can only focus for so long and then I have to give up and do something else. But we are so close. I already have a tester doing a fingering weight set. I'm going to do it in worsted as well. If anybody's willing to test, doesn't have to be the whole set. It could be just the cowl or just the mittens or just the hat. And yes, I'm going to do fingerless mittens. And yes, I'm going to do a headband because I want I want options. So I'm gonna do that, but it's gonna be fingering, DK, or worsted. So you're gonna have your choice of yarns. And I'm listing the grams that are used so that it can be a scrap busting project, or it can be a purchased for project, or it could be a two single skeins. I don't know what I want to do with this, but they look good together project.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to set it up so that it's easy enough to find yarn for it, and it can also be a Christmas present because it's a matched set.
Nice. Oh, Lisa was asking, fun employed? Yes, unemployed
Oh,
and loving it.
yes.
Fun employed. Unemployed, fun
One
employed.
input.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unemployed, having fun.
It's just another way to say currently not doing a job.
Not doing the 9 to 5 grind. I might be picking up some consulting work this week, though.
That'd be good. You know, I've always wondered if we just changed our wordage, like moving the fact that I'm disabled to the end of the sentence, if we just took out the words daily grind and just said my job was 9 to 5, would people hate it less? Because you say daily grind and you make it sound terrible. So then you're like, ugh. So like, is it really terrible, or is it our perception is it's terrible because we were raised with the it's terrible perception?
I think it depends on the job.
Thinking,
There's
say.
definitely a societal thing where, oh, it's the daily grind 9 to 5 job, but I think that's
But
because a
like
lot of jobs suck.
nobody loves every part of their job.
Yeah.
Nobody loves every part of your job, but you're going to enjoy, like, dislike, be completely indifferent to sections of your work.
Like I've had jobs I've hated, I've had jobs that I love.
But we
So
still
it's
always say the daily grind.
I don't think I said that about the job that I loved.
You know, you only complained when you couldn't do things during the day like you wanted to, because I would be off doing things during the day.
I
You'd be like, but
know.
I don't work. I'd be like, that's not my problem.
I discovered there's a knit group at the yarn store in Cambridge on Wednesday afternoons, and I'm like, why did I go and add a stream on those days?
Well, too late. You added work.
I did. I mean, I can move it. That's the great thing about
Yes.
self-employment is you can move your schedule around to suit whatever.
You start doing it in the morning. If you stream in the mornings, that gives you a hard wake up time schedule to stick to,
That's true.
which you might find more helpful.
I will give that some thought. I was going to rework the schedule anyway while I'm
Well, you're gone and
away.
here for the week. Yeah. All
Yes.
right. I have three things left. So
Oh, is it time for me to do a thing?
I think it's time for you to do a thing.
Okay. Yesterday during whip sprints,
Okay.
I started on Jocelyn's requested tiny triceratops.
Yeah.
So I started out by making, I made three, I have to make three of these triceratops for this trip. Wow, I have so much of my hair in these. Hang on. Hold that thought. There's so much of my hair in this.
I'm
Why?
getting a super gift, aren't I?
Yeah. So I
Here
had to
comes
make a whole
free.
bunch of little horns for triceratops because the kids also want triceratops.
They're a really simple, silly pattern.
They are. Like, if you've already got your horns made, they take like half an hour to make.
Yeah.
So this is how far I got between making horns and starting a triceratops.
Yeah.
The
God, he's
face
so
takes
damn
so long,
adorable.
and then the rest of the body's like 6 rounds.
Yeah. Well,
But
because
he's so cute, and he's got little baubles for his toes, and he's
I
so cute.
cannot wait to have that in my collection. So
So
dang adorable.
there's another round to add his legs, and then like 2 rounds to make the stubby little tail, and he's just a little chunk. He's a little chunk.
God, I love those things. I love that I picked red. Like, the red turned out so good.
The red turned out so good. I wanted to make a
So
red one
good.
because I thought it would be pretty cute, so I'm really glad you requested red.
You're welcome. My pleasure. I'm excited to have him come sit next to my pipe cleaner cats and my Halloween rubber duckies. That's right, Halloween rubber duckies.
I have so much hair
Mostly my
going
pipe
on.
cleaner cats. Well, yeah, because you wear it loose now.
Yes, I also just washed it and haven't brushed it, which so all the hair that got loosened in the wash is just coming out because I haven't brushed it.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
All
All
right, your turn.
During the whip sprints, I started a mushroom bucket bag. May have also started a mushroom bucket bag craze. I'm not sure. I am holding two strands of worsted weight yarn held together as the pattern suggests for a bulky weight yarn. It's a crochet hook. They say 7 millimeters or 6.5 millimeters. I was getting it was too loose at the 7, so I went down to the 6.5, and it's making a much better bucket bag. So I had made the base and I was clamming the walls of the bucket bag when I was like, nope, we're too loosey goosey. So I ripped it all out and I started again. And that's
Ooh, okay,
standing
that's
up
even farther than you were
much better.
yesterday.
That's much better.
Oh yeah, that's solid.
That's a much better one. Is it a bit harder on my hands? Yes, obviously I'm doing a bulky weight worth of yarn on a 6.5 millimeter hook. It's a bit of a tight stitch, but it's going to hold its shape much better, which means it'll be sturdier for the mushroom cap,
Yes.
which is going on the
It's not
top.
an it's not an insignificant mushroom cap.
It's a pretty beefy mushroom cap. So I need to do that's 6, so that's 7, so that's 8, so that's 9. I need 3 more rounds, and then we start setting up for the drawstring part of the bucket bag. So I am using some, oh man, loops and threads, impeccable in white, and a super classy shiny metallic crochet hook. I don't have the fancy 6.5 crochet hook. So progress twice, but that's okay. I
Progress
knew I
twice.
might end up working things. It's fine.
Haha.
That's fine. So I'm
Accomplishment.
doing that. Will I keep working on that? Oh yeah, if I've got time today, I absolutely would like to. I've got other things I gotta start doing first. So the bucket bag is the stretch goal. So get through as much as I can so I can do more bucket bag work today. I may honestly start working on the bucket bag shortly while we're recording or streaming. Because reasons. Okay, I have 2 left. You have 1 left?
I have one left.
Okay, I will go again. One of the other whip sprints that I did, I went to my bees bag.
Bees.
A friend made us bags like this. She made me a bees. I forget which one she made for you.
Uh, I think it was like inverted fabric from the bees. So I had more of the blue
Oh,
wheat print.
this one?
Yeah. So it's sort of inverted. So I've got a little bit of bees and more of the dark blue.
That's fair. That makes total sense. They're cute bags.
They are. I think your mittens are
I
yeah, the Harry Potter mittens are in it right now.
That's entirely possible. I decided to make some progress on my striping socks.
Stripies. We love a good stripe.
So I spent half of the round straightening all the yarn out because I have 2 socks in my bag, and each sock has its own mini attached, and then its own ball of yarn. So the mini is from Erin of Fireweed Fiber Co., and the main body color is Ancient Art Yarns, I believe. I don't have the ball band anymore. This is an older ball, but you can see it's
I
Fall in a
love those
Ball.
colors. It
I
is
know that's
fallen
not what it's
ball.
called. I'm positive this is not what it's called because it's the name I'm thinking of, so it's definitely not what it's called.
If we ever could become yarn dyers, we're gonna have like a whole line of yarn, and it'll just be like fall in a ball one, fall in a ball
All in a
two.
Ball 2. Dear heavens, why do we let Jocelyn name things? I did 4 rounds and a half a row. Like I didn't there wasn't well, it was a 25-minute sprint, guys. It wasn't a ton of progress. But it felt nice to pick these up, so I'm hoping this encourages me to do some more of this. Not at the same time I'm working on the cowl, because I have
Oh,
to
Susanna's
count
asking,
the pattern
where's Erin
number.
at? Where Erin's doing shows,
Oh,
right?
she'll be. I think she either just got home or they're still driving home. They're doing trunk shows on the way back from Knit City, so I don't know if she's made it home or not. And for sure, there is no way we're gonna be social media seeing Erin for like at least a week, because she
Yeah,
started like
she's
the first week of September and she hasn't had a
just
weekend or a day off in over a month.
yeah. September was Crazy. I hope she
And
did
she
really
would
well,
have,
though, with sales.
so do I. And she would have spent half of August preparing for September because there would have been no prepping in September.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Fiber Festival, wedding, Knit City, driving home with trunk shows. So, like, all of her September and most of her August would have been prepping for that. And she'll get home and she'll have to immediately start dyeing October Sock Club. So it's like, she might get a day off. Poor girl would be busy.
Oh, Tracy says she's due home on Monday.
Okay. I wasn't sure what the schedule was because I didn't ask about the trunk shows. I just knew that she wouldn't be home till like this weekend, this week sometime in that. I wasn't worried. She's with Tristan. They're fine. They're adults. They can manage it. If they can
Yep.
unpack the car and leave her sitting in a parking lot while they have a tire replaced, they can manage anything.
Yeah, that's about as wrong as it can go.
Yeah, so they'll be fine. Which is good. All right, now I only have one project left if you want to go.
All right.
I'm gonna work on my bucket
So
bag.
so my dad's birthday's on Tuesday, and a couple weeks ago I'd started some socks that I thought were going to be for me, and then I remembered that my dad's birthday was very soon and that I didn't have anything for him, and I'm like, he likes socks. So I
He
messaged
does
him
like
like,
socks.
"Do you want some light blue socks?" And he's like, "Yes." So I added a couple more increases, and now there's socks for him. Last week I was just a little bit beyond the toe, doing these two at a time, and now I have just finished both heels. So I'm
Good.
into the legs of both socks. I am aiming for these to be full height socks, so the leg will be as long as the foot. But as somebody in the whip sprints yesterday pointed out, I could just do them to be as tall as I have time for, and that might be how that goes. They have to be taller than shorties because I don't think my dad likes short socks. So they have to be like reasonably tall, but they might not be fully as tall as I usually make my socks. They might be a couple inches shy, and I feel like that's probably okay.
You show up on Monday, I'm half done my ribbing. Oh my, that's kind of tight.
Yeah, Monday's kind of my deadline because I'm
That
going to
you're
my
seeing your
parents for
parents?
Thanksgiving dinner, and that's like the
Yep.
last time. I'm hoping to have them done. I don't think this will happen. I'm hoping to have them done on Wednesday because it's the
They're
tradition to go for
absolutely
brunch after
not
when we get
happening.
in. But I don't think I'm
Absolutely.
going to be done by Wednesday.
No.
I don't think I have the hand stamina to do that.
I think you should see if you can. It's a good goal to have.
I'm certainly going to try, but I expect it's gonna take me a few more days, and there'll be a Thanksgiving present.
That's
But I
fine.
can pull them out and be like, "Hey, happy birthday!" They'll be done in a few more days.
Yep,
But I'm
that'll
so
work.
pleased that I managed to get like basically two entire feet done in a week.
Yes.
Look at me
So
go!
it's a lot of knitting.
I was very monogamous. It was this and half a triceratops that I've done this week, and the triceratops is a 30-minute pattern, so I've been doing a lot of work. So this is a vanilla toe-up sock pattern, nothing fancy, fish lips kiss heel, and the colorway for the socks is Jolan True from Fireweed Fiber Co. It was the Star Trek Club colorway. So it's all those like a light steely gray blue speckled with darker, or is the darker blue like a steely gray blue? That's probably, I don't know. Colors are hard. It's a slightly off-white speckled with a dark steely gray and also speckled with a little bit of gold, like a mustardy gold. And then the contrast color is like a not quite sky blue.
That's what I should get you for
These look
Christmas.
so good. I'm so happy.
Patton's color wheel.
I know. I need to get better at describing colors. Colors be hard.
Colors be hard.
Colors be hard. Oh, and I discovered yesterday that I was counting stitches on my socks and I expected to have 36 on each side.
Hmm.
And I had like 34 and 35.
Hmm.
So then I was doing the second sock, and I'm like, I wonder if I have. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Sorry, mild panic. My needle just came off, and the string came out of a couple of stitches. 1 second. 1 second. Hang on, I gotta catch these before they drop, because these are heel stitches, and I don't know how to pick those up.
So, have you ever thought of tightening your screws with your little tool instead of by hand?
I definitely have, and
Mm-hmm.
frequently dismiss the idea as I don't want to get up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
sure. Just so we know how we got here.
Yep. I know.
You are the consequence of your own decisions.
Yes. Okay, we're good. We're fixed.
We're good?
Um
Okay.
yes. What was I saying? The panic dropped my thought. I dropped my thought. I panicked and dropped it. It's gone now. It's rolling around on the floor somewhere. What was I saying? Does anybody remember?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Well, it obviously wasn't that important.
Nope.
Oh,
And then some
socks.
sort of
Stitches. Stitch counts.
sockito.
My
Oh, okay, that's right.
on the second sock, I was thinking, I wonder if I'm gonna have like 3 extra stitches, because that would be funny. No, I also had three too few stitches, but on my second sock, I had 36 on the front, like expected, and 33 on the back. So I had the same number of stitches on both sock, which is three fewer than I thought I should have, but distributed differently.
That's fine. Did you do the increases like we suggested? Because you would forget, not remember when you got to your ribbing and then get very confused.
This round that I'm about to start right now is the one where I'm going to do the increases, because I just finished the heels.
Okay. Okay. Otherwise, when we get to the ribbing, there'll be more drama because your stitch count isn't correct.
That's not really drama. Like, you can pick up or drop or whatever to make the ribbing work out. I frequently do that on my socks. Honestly, like, I don't know how I never have the right number of stitches on my socks. Somehow. It's never very wrong. It's never a number that's gonna make or break the sock. But I'm always just like one off or like three off. Never like five off, but I'm always just off by like one or two somehow. Which is so
I'm
weird, because I'm not dropping stitches and I count when I'm doing my toe increases.
means at some
And
point you're knitting two together.
I guess, but I don't see where that's happening. So
I
maybe
couldn't tell
I'm
you.
miscounting when I'm doing my increases? I don't know.
Entirely possible. I always have like two or three stitches too many when I'm done a heel, but it's the right number when I go into the heel.
Put in stitch markers, says Susanna. Yes. You can use the tip of the other needle to hold the loose needle while you tighten. Hold the...
I knit on fixed circulars, guys.
Oh. I mean, my hands are too slippery right now, but that might actually work.
I have very little left in my first ball of DK yarn, Buttercup DK from Erin of Fireweed Fabrico. This is her 32 colorway for her birthday, for her 32nd birthday this year. Yes, this year. Quick, how old is Erin? I don't remember. And I made some progress on my Find Your Fade, Endless Summer Adventure.
That's looking so good. I'm excited to squish that when I'm there.
I am so happy with it. I've made my tassels, but I left them in the living room.
Ah. What'd you go and do
With
that
my
for?
second. I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I made tassels while we were setting up for Lord of the Rings. I was like, I need to do something. I'm gonna get bored. He's like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I am going to be very confused for a second. I'm going to realize I've dropped a stitch on the edge. Well, that'll be fun to pick up.
Ooh,
Words
sorry.
coming out of my
Didn't mean
mouth.
to punch the microphone. Put stitch protectors on the needles. Well, I'm still gonna knit, so I don't need stitch protectors right now. Sherry says, I also find my ass adhered to the chair when I'm knitting. Necessity is the mother of invention.
It really is. All right, I grabbed that stitch I dropped on the edge there, and I can deal with that later. by sticking a
I
stitch
might
marker in it till
blurry.
I'm on that end and I can deal with it. Um, so slow progress on this has been made, and now it's super scrunched up. What I was looking for, I made this much progress. So from my progress keeper up to here, so not too bad.
Not bad at all. It's looking so good. I want to squish it.
It
I
is
want to go
very
squish.
squishy.
I want to go
It's
squish.
very squishy. So I'm gonna keep. This is usually my for fun knitting in the evening when I'm not hand sewing. So that is the last thing I have worked on knitting wise. So much hair.
I know. Hair. Who thought that was a
Hair.
good idea?
Um, I don't know, but I'd like to talk to them about it. I'm gonna love it in the middle of winter. Not so much right now. And could I open a window? Yes. Should I open a window? Probably. Do I necessarily want to have the sounds of the gas station on a Sunday afternoon float through here? No, I do not.
We don't need the gas station drama today.
Oh, people get weird on Sundays. I don't know what it is about Sundays, but they're exceedingly weird on Sundays.
Ooh, skinny darning needle works for a tightening key, as does a paperclip. I did in fact just use one of my little oops, cover those. One of my little light bulb stitch markers, because they're like a paperclip basically. Not a paperclip. What's the pointy safety pin? Safety pin.
Safety
There we go.
pin?
The little light bulb stitch markers are safety pins. I used one of those to tighten the things just now, and it works.
Okay, why do I need to know that? Super unnecessary information for me to have, but all right. Thanks, phone. I was looking up your word.
Ah,
It's like, but I need to tell you about all these things. I'm like, I don't need to know any of these things. I need the
none of these things are
word.
important right now.
None of these things are important right now.
Not sticky butt itis, more like put it in a safe place itis. Yeah, I know exactly where mine are, but they're in the closet, in a bag, in a bigger bag, and there's a chair in front of the closet door.
Well, now you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
I really am. So at some point, I'm gonna finish cleaning up and reorganizing this office.
Sure.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
It will happen eventually. I just might talk about it for another year first.
Oh God.
All right, what's the word? The word for the thing with the stuff in the place.
Maybe you should drink some more of that cappuccino.
Maybe I should.
Your word is remedy.
Remedy.
Mm-hmm.
Remedy. All right. If you would like to financially support these shenanigans, you may do so at patreon.com/northernitspodcast. Any level of support gets you access to our patron-only Discord server, where we are active at all hours of the day and the night, talking about all manner of things, including how yarn shopping is a great remedy for whatever ails you.
Huh.
Also says, I thought you were organizing a live a while back, like last month. I know. I was so motivated, and then I'm like, I can't do it right now, and then the motivation went away. There's a fine balance between I'm motivated now, but I can't do it now. I have to do it later, and then like trying to hold the motivation for later. I'm like, oh, I could do it this Wednesday because we're streaming today and nothing will be going up on Wednesday. I'm not going to be here on Wednesday. It'll happen.
You traveled a lot.
It's just this bit of time. I'm not planning on traveling for the rest of the year after this.
Well, that'll be good for
What
you.
decade is the organization happening? Prior to 2025. How about that? It'll happen before 2025.
That'll work. That'll work.
Tracy says in November, I need to clean my craft room. We should have a mind weekend cleaning sprint. We could do cleaning sprints. That could be a thing.
Not against it. Cleaning sprints work well. I'll do a switch craft sprint because I do a chore every day. So before 2.
Do you? No. Oh wait, this is magnet. Oh, it's too heavy though. I have this timer that I could set for doing sprints.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I know it has magnets, and I wonder if my microphone stand is magnetic. And it is, but the timer, it's not strong enough to hold this because it's kind of heavy.
Okay.
Because I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if I could just like stick a timer like right here or something?
Yeah.
But I don't think that idea is going to work. Or it'll need some work in order to work.
You'll need some work.
And I might have a physical timer. Anyway.
Instead of watching you kerfuffle around with a digital one?
Yeah, I might just go physical, because you know what? Physical ones just work.
All right.
Says we don't know we don't know the decade, but probably this century.
Before she's dead, guys. Before she's dead, she's aiming to have a organized office craft room. Do you notice how I didn't make it specific to that office craft room? I left it open in case you need to change craft rooms.
Yeah, that's always an option.
I'll tell you this much. If you guys move, you do it before you move. I don't care how much work it is or how much you don't want to do it. Because you don't want to move that stuff if you're not keeping it.
I know. Seems people are into the cleaning sprints idea, so we have votes for soon, for November, and for December. It'll happen when I have time. Sorry.
It's all Diana's baby, guys.
But I will try to give you a little bit of time heads up. So it's not just like, bam, I'm doing it now.
I'll absolutely sit and chat or sit on the other half of the screen and change crafts every 25 minutes and keep you guys company.
Sounds good.
All right. Since we super understand the budgets are a real life thing, if you guys can't financially support us in joining us in the weird Patreon adventures that occur, oh boy, you can interact with us here and on other social media platforms, which is a great way to show us what you're working on. Because boy, we love to be enabled. This is why the mushroom bag is a thing. I absolutely got enabled into this one.
Oh yeah.
We got a couple of things ongoing at the moment. We got the fall equinox craft along going. I'm actually currently working on the project for the fall equinox craft along. Diana, how about you?
It got put aside this week in favor of socks, but my gosh, I want to work on it. It's sitting here staring at me being pretty and purple, and I'm like, I want to work on it so bad.
That's fair. That's fair. I think when you get home, I want to talk to you about that one cardigan I saw that the chart doesn't translate, and see if you might be willing to write up instructions for me.
Oh yeah, sure.
For what the chart says, so that I can still make it. Otherwise, we're sort of winding down towards the end of the year. So, in the background, Patreon members who signed up in July are doing advent calendar work, which is super secret for me and Diana because you guys watch us. And it's supposed to be a secret. We do have a couple of things that'll be upcoming later in the year. As always, they're the monthly lives, so we're going to talk Craft Off here in a hot second. Because Craft Off. Oh, I forgot the yarn for the Craft Off. Go me. Doing
Good job.
Great. Doing
That's okay.
Great,
all of my stuff is behind me, and I'll have to reach over and get it anyway.
Cool. I have to go to the living room.
Okay. Well, everybody, hang tight, and we'll be back with you in a second.
Yeah, it'll be a hot moment. We've got all of the stuff that's upcoming. Both Diana and I decided on a super large whim to do a Grinch along. Crafting, knitting, crocheting. Do you know what? We're working on stuff for ourselves in December.
Yes. I'm shedding so
Everywhere.
much.
So we're gonna do
Everywhere. I'm
everywhere.
worse
So
than
we're
your
gonna do our
cat.
that might not be possible. Starting the 1st of December and running for the month, Diana and I are going to work on a book slash librarian themed garment for ourselves. So we're inviting everyone to join us, either like a book named yarn or a book or librarian themed pattern. I'm going to do the librarian. I know, super original.
The
By
cardigan to be.
Skein Knits. I'm going to do the cardigan version.
Yes, I'm doing the
I'm
pullover
going
version.
to. You are. I'm going to be doing mine out of Erin of Fireweed Fabric Co.'s yarn. I have put in a request for a sweater's quantity of Dope Speak Latin in front of the books.
I've picked a very similar color, but it's like
That's how that
cinnamon
works.
apricot spice or something, but it's a similar color.
It's a similar color, and yours is from Tristan of Dragon Horde Yarns, yes?
Yes. Yes, yes. That took
Good
me a
thing my
second.
memory works.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I have like three favorite yarn dyers. I'm like, which favorite one is this one?
Which favorite one is this one? So we've got that sitting in the background that we are absolutely going to be pulling the trigger on the 1st of December because I would like to be done my gift knits by the 1st of December. I always like to be done my gift knits by the 1st of December because I don't like that stress in December. I don't like it. I don't think it's necessary, so I'm not going to do it.
It's on my bingo card to finish a Christmas present before Christmas. Or before
Yes.
December, I think I wrote. I have to
I
check.
don't I don't remember if you
But
said
I'm running out
December
of
or
time to
Christmas.
finish my Christmas presents before Christmas.
You haven't even started Christmas presents before Christmas, and I craft faster than you do.
I know. Well, lots of people are getting Triceratops, so.
That works. That would be a cop out. That'd be a cop out, my dear.
Oh, they're stocking stuffers, they're presents.
Cop out.
I also have like zero plans of what people are getting for Christmas this year, knit wise. I think it's going to be bulky hats.
Yep, that's fine. See, a bulky hat I'd let you get away with, but not a 30-minute Triceratops.
It's got to take at least 1 hour.
At least an hour.
What if I
Take
make a
at
bulky
least an hour.
Triceratops that's like a giant plushie? Same
If
pattern,
it
just
takes
bigger.
if it takes an hour.
I think it might if it was bigger.
Uh, so
You just
while
imagine this little
I
thing, but as like a pillow size.
God, it'd be adorkable. You'd have
I
to
don't know why I've
readjust the
decided
size
they
of
make
his feet.
that's the sound that they make. They go bleep.
They go bleep. Okay.
I've decided they go bleep. I don't know why. They just do.
Sure.
But don't they like they bleep bleep?
I mean, not in my head, but okay. Hey, listen, I make zoom vroom vroom noises when my orcs on bikes go travel, so I am not the person to ask these things. So, keeping that in mind, there's only one thing left, and that is the craft off stuff. Well,
Yep.
and my TED talk. So why don't you reach for and grab your stuff so I can then abandon the screen and stop talking, and you can talk and interact with chat while I go get my yarn. Because I had everybody vote on, well, technically between two Christmas projects. She says as Diana should be reaching for her stuff.
Sorry, I was reading chat. Nikki agrees with me. They go bleep, and
Okay.
also says as long as the T-Rex doesn't make the same sound.
Yeah, they should make different
It-
sounds.
I suppose maybe the T-Rex goes bwop.
Oh my
I don't know. I
word.
haven't made a T-Rex. I don't know what sound they make yet. I haven't made a T-Rex.
Okay. So I had everybody vote between two projects, and to make it so that you could vote for a project because you prefer that project, I just gave everybody two photos with two different colors of yarn in each photo, and said which photo. So everyone was picked strictly based on colors, because I didn't want somebody voting because they love one thing over the other. I was like, nah, let's just do it by colors. Which two colors grab your eye? Let's do that.
Should we talk about last month's craft off first and how we did?
We should, and I'm gonna start with you because I really need to go get the yarn.
Okay.
Because that's how that works. But you can recap everyone on what we were supposed to be working on this month.
Okay. My option, or my thing for this month was the Steinkrieger sweater for Mr. Diana, because I made one for myself last year, and then in February for the 2-week sweater challenge, I started Mr. Diana's sweater, and then I didn't finish because reasons that I don't remember anymore. And then I was trying to finish it in 2 weeks, and basically I'm saying a lot of words to try to justify why I haven't finished it still. I'll just go ahead. In the very pretty bag with the shiny copper feathers. Now. I really love this bag. It's got leather hardware and like
Wow.
canvas and metallic paint print. Oh, Jamaica happened, yeah. Right, Jamaica happened right at the end of the 2-week sweater thing, and I didn't want to take the Giants. That makes a lot of sense. So I got to the point where I was going to be joining the sleeves to the body, because it's a bottom-up sweater, and I'd already knit the sleeves. And then I thought, before I go attaching these, I should just hold them up to one of his existing sweaters and make sure the sleeves are the right length. So I did, and they're a few inches too short. So I have to add some more length to the sleeves. I'm saying how I held these up to one of Mr. Diana's sweaters and they're too short and I need to add more length.
That does not surprise me.
So, and I suspected. But then I'm like, I should double check and make sure this body is actually going to be the right size, because this is going to be a lot of work for a thing that he's not going to wear. So I held up the body, and it's long enough, but it's not quite wide enough, and it might block wider, but I don't want to rely on that necessarily. So the end result is I got like 3/4 of a sweater done. Like, I literally just need to join the sleeves and do the yoke, except the sleeves are too short, the body's too narrow, and I just need to rework this thing. Is where that's at. Grumble, grumble. So that's why that's not done. I made that discovery last weekend. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to pull it all out now. I'm going to prove that I did a whole bunch of work. And then I'll rip it out.
Well, you don't need to pull out the sleeves. You just need to pull out the
I don't
body.
need to pull out the sleeves. I can just put those back on the needle and make them
And
longer.
you need to take a gauge, like measure your gauge on the sweater and figure out how much more stitches you need.
Well, I'm just
based off your
gonna, because
gauge.
I'm making, I was following the stitch counts for the large, for the large size, so I can just make one size bigger, and then the stitch count works out for the charts.
Okay, good. That'll
Although I
work.
have to make sure that the stitch count will work out with the sleeves. I don't know if the sleeve width changes with the size of the sweater.
No,
I'll have to double check that.
it depends, and if it does, just do a row of increases at the top of your sleeve so you combine well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can make it work without having to redo all the sleeves. Jude says, in summary, jumper frustrations. Yes, much frustration. Also suggesting, rather than rip, could it be sibling sweater? It could,
Yes, but it would
except
be the right colors.
I want to do because I want mine and Mr. Diana's to be the inverted colors, and I want sibling and sibling's partner and sibling's cat to all have coordinating colors, because I think that'd be really cute. So, like, we're a family because we all have the same sweater, but then we all have our little family groups with the inverted colors, or like we all have our little groups with the sets of colors.
Gag.
I know, it's so
Gag.
cute, and yeah.
Ugh. Ugh.
So,
Ugh, I say.
yeah.
Ugh. Good luck getting Mr. Diana into one, because technically he's a part of that family sibling relationship.
Yes, well,
Don't get
he's
me wrong.
agreed.
Don't get me wrong. Your sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and your niece and nephew would absolutely do it. But if you're doing it
Yeah,
for
I'm not
one
going to
simple
force
family,
anybody to join my ridiculous sweater project, but it's, I'm asking people ahead of time if they want to be part of my sweater project.
there.
Sibling and partner were very into it.
That doesn't surprise me. You'd have to do Mr. B's in acrylic because he's quite allergic to wool.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do whatever kind of things people want.
Mhm.
But this is a multi-year project, so we're not getting there for a while.
No,
I'm doing
no,
Mr.
no.
Diana's for this year. I'm gonna do sibling and partner for next year, and cat if I can. That's the plan. I'll do sibling and partner and cat for next year.
So remember how I showed you what she was doing yesterday?
Yeah.
She's doing the same thing today, only we've lied down now.
Oh dear. We've given up.
Yes, but only with our shoulders and head in the cat tree facing the wall. The rest of us is just draped on the floor.
Do we not fit?
We definitely don't fit. We are too fat for that space. We are too fat for that space.
So, Mr. Dan has been wanting to frog a project because he likes to pull on the strings. Yeah, I swear he's a cat. He likes to pull on the
He's a
strings
cat.
while I'm knitting.
Oh no, he's a cat. I've known him for many
100%.
years. And you've
100% he's a
seen
cat.
my cat while I'm working, and we've seen your husband while you're working. He is a cat.
So, I'm going to let him do the wee, and I'm gonna try and get a sound bite while he does it because he does make this like wee sound. So I'm gonna try and make content out of that.
Yeah, and I had Mr. B wind a ball of yarn because I wasn't finished when he showed up the other day. I was like, "Can you wind this?" He's like, "Into what shape?" I'm like, "A ball."
Yeah, what
He'd
other
never done
shape
that
is there?
before. He'd never wound yarn into a ball before, so that was a new experience for him.
Hmm.
It delighted me.
So that's
We
where I'm
needed
at
to
with
clean the
mine.
table.
I could have
Cool. I didn't even
finished,
pick.
but it wasn't the right size.
That's fair. Mine was the Find Your Fate, my
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek Find Your Fate,
Yeah.
and I immediately proceeded to never look at it. Didn't want
Cool.
to do it.
Okay.
Every time I picked it up, my whole body went, So that was a huge. Okay, that didn't work.
Also says Mr. Dan is almost a triceratops. Almost the same sound.
Almost the same sound.
Almost. I hadn't thought of that.
Discover that a lot of her sounds are very similar. So, I apparently the Find Your Fate is not the thing I should be putting on craft off challenges.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. So we're gonna change. We're gonna change gears and try something else. All right. Yeah, that was just. I didn't. I looked at it and I just like no,
As soon as it's the thing you're supposed to be working on, you just don't wanna.
don't wanna. But if
I
it's
get
not a
it.
thing I'm not supposed to. No, okay, cool. And sometimes it works fine. I'm happy to have the deadline, and sometimes it just blows up in my face, and I do not want. Like when I had the blanket, I was happy to do the granny squares and the combining and stuff and make progress on the blanket. I don't know.
I
It
don't know.
varies from month to month. It depends on what I'm doing.
I was very excited about this month's craft off because I picked two things that I'm like, I really want to work on both of these. So,
No, that helps. I
but
have some.
everybody picked the right one. I'm excited.
I have presents to work on this month. So, do you want to talk about yours first, or shall we do mine first? Who do you want
Mm.
to go first?
Mine's right here. I can pull it out.
Sure. Yeah.
So I
What were
pulled it
your
out all
two
nicely for
options?
my two options. Sorry, one
Because you guys
option.
get to vote. You get to vote here on YouTube, or you get to vote on Instagram. So,
One option was my Faux cardigan by Crochet with Carrie, which is just
mm-hmm.
a big waffle stitch oversized cardigan out of Briggs and Little. I
Yep.
have the back panel done. That's the folded bit that you see in there. I also have two pockets.
Mine's just off screen.
I know. Yeah, so my goal for that one was finish the two front panels and the two sleeves. Nothing about sewing it together or getting a button band or anything, just finish all the pieces.
Okay.
Because I'm traveling and I got deadlines, I got an advent to do. I'm like, I'm not going to finish it. But I could get all the pieces done. That seems reasonable.
I called you for lunch when it was lunchtime, and you didn't come. So now that you decided you wake up, you have to wait till I'm done recording, and then you can have lunch.
My other option was the shawlography, which I believe I
Ooh,
finished
yep.
to section 7. I think this is section 7. I think I'm in section 7.
Okay.
And the goal for this one was to finish to the end of section 9, which is like it's got another band and then it's the short rows that stick out to the sides to make it one big,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
make it the long. The short rows that change the shape of it.
Yes.
So goal for that was just to finish 2 more sections basically, because these rows be
What?
long and vaguely involved.
Well,
Only
you tell
vaguely. It's
Diana
not
that
like
you want lunch and she needs to hurry up.
So yeah, they're not like color work involved, but there's like stripes or smocks or like slightly involved.
Those the wedges take a while to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were my two things that people were voting on.
Excellent.
There was a very clear winner.
I believe you were the tiebreaker for me.
I was the tiebreaker for you because yours was very, very close.
That close. Am I purple? Yeah. We had the options between white and purple, which I can now reveal are going to be a pair of colorwork mittens and a hat with a skull theme for my sibling. Because she loves skulls.
Hmm.
Loves skulls. Or brown and red. Oops, this red is definitely giving me grief. Which are going to turn into a flax with a red body and brown cuffs and hem
Okay.
for Miss L, who is 3.
Aw,
But I
cute.
didn't want any biases, so I just gave people colors. I have no idea who won. I don't know. I know you broke the tie. That's all I know.
Okay, yeah. So with my tie-breaking vote giving you 53%,
Okay.
53%, we're in favor of the red and brown fall colors.
Black sweater for a 3-year-old it is.
Susanna says Tim Hortons colors.
Well, I wanted to
Wasn't
pick
thinking
colors
that.
that would be like bright and bold for her, but she's not an indoor kid. She is
So
an
you want to kind
outdoor
of hide
kid.
the dirt a little bit.
So like she hikes, she camps, she does all of the she bike rides.
She's not getting a white sweater, is what you're saying.
Yeah, she's not the kind of kid where a white sweater would be appropriate. She's the kind of rough and tumble kid. So that's how she's growing up. So she and I like red. I like bright bold colors. So red and with the brown colored cuffs. Yes, I'm just about done. Getting aggressive and the bugging me.
I voted fall colors because it's the fall season as opposed to the blue and white, purple and white,
Purple and white.
whatever. The one with the white that seemed more wintry. And like, it's not winter yet. You can wait on the winter colors.
Which is why I have it because it's for my sister to wear during the winter.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I have many Christmas presents to make.
Well, it sounds like
But
you're starting on a toddler-sized flax then.
yes, or toddler size cardigan, like whatever I end up picking. I need to pick a pattern, but I picked out
Yeah,
roughly the amount of yarn you need for pretty much all kid sized cardigans at her age.
yeah.
So it'll be fine.
And
Take
then
it from there.
for my two choices, it was 82% in favor of the
Okay.
faux cardigan.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm working on the faux cardigan.
Got it. Which is good because I want you to have that cardigan done.
I've been so excited to work on that all summer, but I've had deadlines and also not wanted to work on a worsted weight wool sweater in the height of summer, but
Oh,
also
it's in
really
panel
wanting to work on that
pieces.
sweater.
It's panel pieces. It's nowhere near as bad as the actual sweater.
Yeah. And
Yes,
this
I
works out because if
know.
I was doing the shawlography and I wanted to pack it for my trip home, I'd have to pack five
All of
skeins of
it.
fingering weight.
You guys tend to try to get away with as little as possible and cram things in so it's really tight and then figure out how to put things in rather than just going for the larger size suitcase. I don't
Well,
know
this
why, but it's
time
what you do.
we've both got a big suitcase and a small suitcase and our
Good.
backpacks this time. So
You kind of
we don't
have
have a
to.
whole lot to bring there, I don't think, but we're
You
both
have
gonna
so
try and
much
empty our parents'
stuff.
basements a bit.
So much stuff just chilling at your parents' houses.
You know, at least in terms of my stuff, I haven't needed it at this point, so if they want to just like truck it out with all the other donation stuff, they don't need to keep hanging on to it.
Will they? I mean, mine does. She's like, "Do you want this thing that we've had for a while, but we're not gonna keep anymore?" I go, "Yay, nay." I go, "Yay." It comes here. I go, "Nay." It goes out the door.
Yeah, I've
No
been
muss, no fuss,
naying
no arguments.
things for a long time and they're still there.
Well, my mom was asking me about her wedding stuff because she wants to get rid of because she's not a paraphernalia kind of keeper person. She's not a keepsake person. So she's like, "Oh, get rid of most of the." And I was like, "Okay, but I want your silver goblets." She's like, "That does not surprise me." I'm like, and oddly enough, yes, I want your wedding dress. I would like to reclaim that silk and make an heirloom thing for me and my sister and my niece. And she's like, okay, yeah, I could do that. Because I'm like, my mom's 5'4" and got married, pre 83. That's when I was born. So pre 83.
Hmm.
And she was definitely different shaped than I am. My sister is the shorter of the two of us, and she comes in at 5'8".
Yeah, your mom's short.
My mom is a perfectly reasonable adult female height. She just had abnormally tall daughters.
Well, your dad's
So
really tall.
dad is 6'2", so it's not a shock where the height comes from. So, and it's a very different style. So when my sister got married, she had a very different style of wedding dress in her head. And I was like, I can take that wedding dress silk and I could make us some nice heirloom things. They wouldn't be big, they wouldn't be bulky, they wouldn't be excessively weird. But like I have my great grandmother used to store her coat at Eaton's, her fur coat. And she still had it when she passed away. And my grandmother had that fur coat turned into three teddy bears with moving arms. Now, at the time, she only had two grandkids, two granddaughters, me and my sister and her.
Mm-hmm.
So she kept one. She gave us the other two. She now has two more granddaughters, one by marriage and one just because Sheris was born into the family, and one great granddaughter when she passed away. So my niece Scott is getting the other teddy bear, I believe, because she's the first great granddaughter from my great grandmother's old fur coat. So like the repurposing thing is not uncommon for us.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense.
None of us would have taken the fur coat.
No, I mean, who
Definitely
wears a
not our
fur
style.
coat
Well, it
anymore?
definitely was also of the style for fur coats to be stored at Eaton's.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was definitely not our vibe. Same sort of idea. Just things change with time. So updating something so it works. And I like my parents' silver goblet mugs, but like, do I want anything else? No. No. Absolutely not. Unnecessary. Same with like my sister and my brother-in-law have drinking horns because that was their celebratory wedding present from mom and dad was a pair of drinking horns, and Izzy got a small one. My niece got a small one to drink her pop out of when they got married.
Cute.
My sister got married the year after you did. Yeah, the year
Sounds
after you
about right.
did. Had to be shortly after you did because Mr. B and I were still dating at the time, but we weren't dating for much longer afterwards. So yeah, I think she got married like a year after you did. I don't really remember. Facebook tells me. Which is really all that
There was a
matters.
question. How tall is your dad?
Dad's 6'2". His dad's like 6'3", 6'4". My two uncles on that side fall into the same range. I occasionally get calls because people think my dad's in town. He's not. That's his brother. Uh,
They do look very similar.
the oldest and the youngest look very much like siblings. Oldest and middle? Yeah, my dad's the oldest. I believe my uncle James is middle, and then I had another uncle, but he passed away, and he was the youngest, I believe. I had five uncles, no aunts by birth. I have four uncles, still no aunts by birth.
Three uncles, one aunt, but she passed away a long time ago from cancer.
Yeah, but I
So
mean, like,
three uncles. That's all I got.
I hang out with a cousin whose uncle is my grandfather.
This whole cousin relationship thing, I don't know. I effectively
It's
don't
weird.
have cousins. I technically do have cousins, but I haven't talked to them in 20 years, so I effectively don't have cousins.
Oh, I have a chunk I never talk to, and I have a small amount I do talk to, so it just depends on what side and whether or not I converse with them.
People are talking about how tall they are. People be short in chat. My goodness.
Trade you. If we ever figure out how to shrink people and add height to other people, everyone is welcome to some of my height. I would give anything to be regular sized. Being as tall as the men is not fun. It's not fun.
Oh, Nikki's heading out.
Unenjoyable.
She's working later. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
I want to see Tracy be tall.
Yes. Yeah, I think Tracy and her daughter and me are like in that 6 foot range. Either just under, at, or just over. And I mean, I got male cousins who are 6'7" on my dad's side of the family. So like, I got cousins who have to duck to come through door frames.
One of my uncles is tall like that. He's definitely over 6 feet. I did not get that. Whatever gene that was, I didn't get it.
Be glad. Trying to figure out if she's up in the window space trying to stare out through blinds.
I think it'd be fun to be tall.
No, no, it not. No, it not.
I mean, clothes shopping is probably not very fun, but whoa, Asa has a cousin that's 7'2".
Yeah, that's
Holy,
tall. Yeah,
that's very tall. My goodness.
You don't fit right into furniture or spaces
No.
because furniture is standard size. I don't fit in standard sized furniture. So I will sit in a chair and my feet go numb because of where your veins come in and out when they get closer to your surface. I pinch that section because my legs are too long to fit in the couch properly.
Oof.
So you just feel gangly and oversized and cumbersome wherever you are. And if you have things made to fit your size, and like then like you come, well, you've seen my rocking chair.
Yes. Your rocking chair is definitely. My legs are not quite long enough for your rocking chair.
Yeah. Same idea. Like I got that chair and I had to get it the height adjusted up because it was a touch too short for me to sit in comfortably.
And Jude says cars, teen struggles to fit comfortably in cars for long distances.
There is no such thing as
Yeah.
fitting
Oh
into
my
cars
god, and
comfortably.
airplanes, like
Airplanes, no. The
I'm
whole
like
bottom part of my
5'7" and I
legs go
barely
numb.
fit in some airplanes. Like my knees are like almost brushing the seat in front of me. I'm like, I'm not tall. How are people supposed to fit in these things?
We don't. No ergonomic thing hits you properly because your height ratios are different. So they're
Yeah.
like, it's ergonomic. I'm like, so it's painful for me because it's ergonomic for a standard human height, and I am not the standard human height you designed that for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's you don't fit. Countertops are too short, so I'm hunched slightly, so I give myself back problems, lowering myself to use things
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're the wrong height. Yeah, no, tall is awkward. Short is also awkward. You really kind of ideally want to be like 5'3", 5'4" through like 5'7", 5'8".
I'm cool with being the upper end of average
Yeah,
height wise.
just makes your life. I mean, can I get things from the top shelf? Yes, I can get things from the top shelf. I'm loaned out all the time for that ability. That's fine.
It's a useful ability. There's times
But
where I'm like,
it's
I'm an inch too short,
not.
Mr. Diana, come reach the thing. I'm like literally
Not.
this much too short to reach the thing.
It's not worth it for all the inconveniences when you can just get a step stool.
But the step stool's downstairs, and I
Well,
needed
that's
a thing
not.
at the
That's
back
a
of the cupboard
personal problem.
upstairs.
You need
And
a
Mr.
step
Diana was
stool in your
upstairs,
kitchen.
so it was easier to ask him than to go get the footstool.
That's your fault for putting the step stool in the wrong place.
Well, no, the step stool's in the kitchen, which is very much the right place for it, for the amount it gets used there.
Ah, but yeah, no, it doesn't make clothes fun. Things are just awkward. It's fine.
Yeah.
One blind is slightly farther apart than the other blind, so I think she's behind the computer monitor with her head against the glass.
Right. Trying to see through the frosted glass?
Yes, because I haven't opened the window.
Right. Sure. Cat things.
Cat things. Cat brain.
I believe you have a history talk to give us.
I do. Not that I want to, but I do. Kuzasa picks huge topics.
All right, everybody, settle in for the history talk.
And they're like deceptively simple. Because you're
Uh-huh.
like, oh, well, it's this one thing, but it's never just one thing because history is freaking connected.
Yeah.
So I got the year 1066. That's a big year for England. If you guys don't know what it is, don't worry, I'll give you a quick primer. I ended up somewhere back in the fall of the Roman Empire to try to explain why 1066 is a big deal.
Wahaha, says Asa.
So that's not going to work because it's too much. It's too much history. So we're going to do the basics. 1066, easiest way to think about it is thinking of it as a three-way Game of Thrones issue.
Okay.
In January of 1066, Edward the Confessor kicks the bucket. He dies.
Okay.
His by blood should have been the next English king to the throne is Edgar, I believe. Oh, wait. The kid's 13. Nobody's going to
Not
take
really in
that
a position to be
seriously.
king.
Not super seriously, right? So you have the three main players vying for the throne of England. Harold Goodwise of England. Harold, I cannot pronounce the last name, of Norway. He becomes the king of Norway. That's right, two Harolds. That'll make life
Sure.
confusing at all. And William the Conqueror of Normandy, which makes William the Conqueror French for everyone who's paying attention.
Okay.
So we have our three-way Game of Thrones going on.
The
Got you
Norman
nice
invasion, asked Susanna.
backstabbing. It is technically considered the Norman conquest and invasion of Anglo-Saxon England and the changing of England from English to French. It's a huge social political problem for a lot of people. There's a lot of propaganda, like some serious propaganda about it.
You're okay.
This is this is this is about one tapestry that is in Bayeux, France, Normandy. And this tapestry takes up walls of space. And all it does, it tells you, I have to be careful which picture I pick. I should have looked at this in advance. I'm going to look at it now while I'm talking. Um, it tells the story of the Battle of Hastings. And the Battle of Hastings is the second fight that well, I'm going to call him Harold G. Harold G goes to maintain his grasp on the English throne. So he defeats Harold of Norway first up at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, and then he has to haul Keister down to the other end of the country to hold off William the Conqueror. Now, William the Conqueror is dangerous because England be a juicy, juicy target.
Right.
England is the woman coming out of the opera with the diamonds and the fur pelt in downtown city, pick your choice, without an escort. Ripe for plundering, that one be. And it's because England has some things that the rest of the medieval continent hasn't figured out yet. So it's a bit ahead. The reason I'm checking this is because sometimes in the top borders, there are things that today would be considered inappropriate to show on YouTube that were considered appropriate for children in the 11th century, since children didn't exist as a concept. This one does not have any men with men male members 4 times longer than he is tall. So this tapestry, this is one section of it. The whole book is this tapestry, guys. Called the Bayeux Tapestry. And it tells the story of the Battle of Hastings, which means it tells the story of the Battle of Hastings from the winner's perspective, which is the Normans and William the Conqueror. So here's our lovely piece of propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty. It gets
So pretty.
restored. It's been restored a couple of times. My niece used to tell stories, bedtime stories to herself out of this book.
I love that.
I still have it because it's a beefy, beefy coffee table book and it's very pretty. If you ever get the chance to go see the Bayeux Tapestry, I highly recommend it because, hello, it's literally a piece of fabric that has a story sewn into it in picture format. Like,
I
how
think the
cool is that?
climate of
From
my
the
room just
11th
changed because
century.
this lid made sounds. My fancy hand cream that I bought, the lid just went donk. Scared the crap out of me.
I didn't get fancy hand cream. Super jealous.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I forgot to go. You're the one running around doing things. Can you grab this while you're running around doing things? Because it means I'm at the booth. I needed to remember to put the reminder out there. So, the official story is Harold had gone to France and had said Edward the Confessor promises the English crown to William the Conqueror of Normandy. And then the story is that Harold goes back, changes his mind, betrays everybody, and takes the throne for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not that actually happened, who knows?
Debatable.
Who knows? He was in Normandy. He's recorded as being shipwrecked and having spent time there and then coming home. But whether or not he actually made those promises is it's written after the fact and it's not written by him. So like maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But he
Yeah.
definitely went to Normandy. He definitely got shipwrecked. He definitely saw what they were doing with military interventions and definitely went, that's dangerous, as I'll get out. Came home to England and went, huh! Because the Normans had figured out how to use castles as tools of oppression, which changed the way fortifications are done.
Okay.
Now, Harold H. of Norway is one scary mofo. Again, most of the stuff written about him post is gussied up to look pretty and get the divine right of God and polished edges, right? So like
Yeah.
expect it's the state release you get from governments now. So like a lot of his stuff has been published up to make him seem more than what he might have been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he probably did all the things, but he may have done them in slightly different orders. The big thing is he's a scary dude in Norway, and he also could come in and attack England. And England is primarily unique in the 11th century, where at the start of the 11th century, because it has a much firmer grasp of nation, like nationhood, a much firmer grasp of centralized government and centralized religion. So England was miles ahead of the rest of the continent with the concept that borders were one shape. Now, I mean, they're cheating. They're an island. It's island made up most of the border shape. But
Yeah.
the centralized government of the Anglo-Saxons and the centralized religion that was there was particularly unique in the 11th century. Like the rest of, like I say Normandy because Normandy really was its own country still.
Right.
France wasn't really a thing yet. Technically, they're French kings. They just don't know they're French kings yet. Like Norway is a vague idea. Like it's something we should put down on paper at some point. But really, most of the continent is still groups of gangs running around claiming territory.
Right. Right. As you do.
As you do. Which is fine. But it makes England tempting because England is like the next step, right?
Yeah.
It's also tempting from the form of the papacy because the papacy isn't what you think it is. Because when you think church, you think full on domination, oppression of everybody, like, because that's what you've been raised to believe.
Mm-hmm.
When you need to think of the church more like the official opposition party in a political debate. Like it talks a good game, but it knows you're not listening. It's a political power, not a influential power, because you see it written in the text and documentations. So the papacy goes through a U-Haul, like it gets overhauled in the early 11th century by the Reformation of the Church, which is its own freaking thing. So to have it recorded that William the Conqueror, who has in his mind the divine right of the king, English king, Edward the Confessor, to go to England to be the king, he gets a paper banner or paper bull to go do this papal, which is super rare. Like it would be like me coming up to Diana and going, "I'd like pierogies for dinner." Like it's a what? It's not
Okay.
done. It's done later, but it's not done right now. So he's got a
Also
very
says Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland were more or less the same country. And
yeah,
Elise was asking, is it too early for the Kalmar Union?
yeah.
Kalmar?
Yeah,
Kalmar?
yeah. We're not
I
quite
don't know
there.
what that is.
It messes with your head when you're thinking about it because we have a very different way of conceptualizing how governments and nationalities work. They weren't governments, they were people. So Edward the Confessor is England, and what he controls is England. But it's less flexible than other places. But he's the gang leader in England, is what he is. The Anglo-Saxons are simply just structured differently. But what you have is William the Conqueror coming into England, and he's got cavalry, he's got castle tactics, and he has got that very rare paper bull saying he's supposed to be the king of England. And he's facing off against the Saxon or Anglos or Angles, people of the Angles of England, the English, who
Mm-hmm.
don't have cavalry, they have infantry, who don't use castles as tools of oppression. And Harold knows William's coming, and Harold went to Normandy. He saw what they were doing over there. So, like, he knows the stuff is coming, but change takes time. So, he's up against a losing battle because he has to stand firm against Norway, which is not an easy task because Viking.
Mm-hmm.
They might be farmers 98% of the time, but the 2% of the time they go a Viking, they're scary people to deal with. They're good at their job. And then he has to race back down across the other end of the country and deal with yet another invasion. So, like, most historians agree that Harold just didn't. He got the short end of the stick. And odds were good he was going to lose to one or the other. So either England was going to be more Dutch than English or more French than English. And given the collective social pull of France, most leaned towards the idea that it was going to always be a French king after Edward the Confessor. Because again, by blood, his next relative to take charge is 13.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, it's, you're not old enough to have built up enough political clout to sway people.
Yeah.
You're just not, you just don't have enough years under your belt. So Harold dies in the Battle of Hastings. Most sources say through an arrow through the eye, because again, we get some cleaning up of history. We've got, I think it's like one, maybe two contemporary sources that say it was an arrow through his man bits. And that could be the accurate version. Either way, he's written off. He's
Okay.
murdered. And William the Conqueror becomes the first king of England that we talk about regularly. And he is French. So you have a changing and a social cultural divide occur in England. Because now you've got the Normans coming in and running things. And you have the Anglo-Saxons or Saxons who have been there for a while now, because like they've been there since the fall of the Roman Empire. They came in after the Romans left. And now you begin to see why 1066 is so important.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So I'm like, 1066 doesn't help me any. Because you've got Game of Thrones, you've got military tech increasement, you got the church going under a reformation and changing a lot of rules about how the church should be run and how religion should be. And this is just England versus France, Norway. We're not counting Welsh. We're not counting Scots. We're not counting. But this is the start of what's the word I'm looking for? You go to the Holy Lands, Crusades. This is
Crusades.
the this is the start of that phase of life. And you're seeing that overhaul, and you're seeing an overhaul in farming techniques, you're seeing an overhaul in other techniques. So like massive amounts of changes are going on. And then I, of course, fell down the rabbit hole of like, well, what happened to those Anglo-Saxon kids who grew up preparing to be earls, to be duchesses, to be the ruling elite of an Anglo-Saxon England, who now are not the ruling elite of a Roman England, of a Norman England.
Ah,
And I, of
okay.
course, went way off into that because what?
Didn't the Anglo-Normans start conquering Ireland?
Uh,
Says chat.
I mean, yes and no. Again, because for us, nations are a thing. Like I say, I'm Canadian. It has a very definitive meaning. Asa says she's Norway. It has a very definitive meaning and very definitive border. They don't think that way. So like a lot of ours, and we invaded here is us projecting backwards.
For them, it's more like a
So
bunch of little territories.
it's a I'd be like loosely sometimes they band together to make a larger territory, but the concept of a centralized government, of a centralized country, like that's still so new. It's not done eating baby food. Like it's such a new concept. It's not old enough to walk yet. It's
Millie says there's
just
an excellent podcast called The Rex Factor that covers a lot of this.
yeah,
Back when England, quotation marks, was a series of smaller kingdoms.
yeah. And like
Neat.
most the world was a series of smaller kingdoms. The Roman Empire is the oddball, not the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even then it was centralized loosely. But it wasn't like the Roman senatorial group said do this and everyone just fell in line,
Lisa says,
even
I
within
also
the Roman Empire
heard
itself.
the reason that England was more politically advanced was being far away from Rome.
They were, because it's an island, it's sort of semi-isolated, so you would have a lot of trade on the coast, but the center, like the farther in from the coast you get, the more sort of, I say provincial like it's a bad thing, the more provincial you get. So the area or sphere of influence they needed to have was much smaller. So they were able to start making those changes towards it. It's a lot easier to go, well, us and Westminster are clearly the same country because they're like right next door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once that just sort of keeps expanding out on itself, and you keep collecting the heads of these different areas and bringing them in, and then all of a sudden you just turn around one day and you got a country. It's kind of how it works. You go, oh, I'll just collect this earl, and I'll just collect this duke, and oh, I'll just collect this gang guy. He's really good for military. We want him to protect us. And then you turn around and you got a court, and you're a king, and you have a country. That's kind of just how that natural progression rolls.
Okay.
So that then you have to keep it. So then you
Yes.
have the complexities of politics, religion, and other things start to filter into it. Because so long as you're a gang leader of a small country, like a small territory, it's just you and your five dudes from college shooting the snot and kicking people's butts. But when it's half of an island,
A little
you
more
have
political.
advisors, you've got guys who do your census data, you've got guys like it starts to become more complicated the bigger of an issue, like the bigger of a territory you control is. And we're making that move in the 11th century. We're going from to whole huge chunks. And it's not pretty and it's bloody and there's a lot of fights and people die and it's not a generally super pleasant place to live
Times of
because
upheaval rarely are.
upheaval. But I got fascinated with the children of the Anglo-Saxon leaders
Yeah,
because
so what
they were
happened to them?
raised most of them don't live very long lives because there are political
Fair.
pawns and they're dangerous, right? For uprisings
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah. But it would be like Diana and I all of a sudden becoming American. Full stop. Canada's conquered, America's taken over, and we're now American, but we're watched like hawks because we could rebel, we could incite rabble rousing, we could, especially Diana, not so much me, we could be married off, and then children could come back to claim blood rights in the next generation. So, like, they went from being the cream, like the top of the thing, to being the everyday folk in
Mm.
hostile territory. Like that's going to be an extreme shift and change to have to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah. That would be
So I
horrifying. You
felt
just wake up one day and like, actually, you're not rich or powerful, and in fact, your very life is in danger. Better get moving.
better get moving. A lot of them go into exile. A lot of them have to leave England because they ain't safe anymore.
Yeah.
It ain't safe anymore. So you sort of, and you get little snippets of that. But you do see a lot of arguments, like farther down the line, historical speaking, that, if you're in England today and you have a Norman name and a Norman background, you're of one sort of social class. If you have a Saxon, you're of another social class. There's a massive debate on whether or not that's actually real or not. I'm like, a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
might be us projecting. A lot of that might be us projecting. It's the same way as like we look backwards and we're like, oh man, Ager was 13. Like, where were his parents? We're like, childhood wasn't a thing. Like he didn't have an extended growing up period. He
You're
would have
physically able to
been
do thing now, so do the thing.
he would have been cared for the first chunk of years. Then he would have been apprenticed out, and the moment you're apprenticed out, you're considered an adult legally. So like that happens anywhere between 12 and 14 on average. And
That's
you begin
wild.
either
Like,
journeyman training or there is no teenager. There is no child. We should protect this kid from this exposure. That was a very different way of raising. So like girls and boys who were still at home saw births, saw deaths, took care of the wounds and injuries. There was no separation and sort of keep the child safe so the child grows mentally, in a happy, loving home. They would have known they were loved. They just weren't raised as isolated as children are now because they weren't thought of the same way. It's the same way I
makes
have a
sense.
problem with a lot of when you get into you start talking about it and you start talking about feminine and female rights and stuff. And my brain goes, we have to be very careful because they don't think the way we do. Are there some powerful women in Anglo-Saxon England? Yes. Are there a lot of them? No. I would also argue there's not a lot of powerful men in Anglo-Saxon England. Most of them grew up and died, and we don't know who they were.
Fair.
But you can't put 21st, are we 21st century? 21st century thinking into 11th century life.
It's not gonna
It's,
work. It was
I
different.
mean, you have to shoehorn it pretty hard. It's,
Society was different.
and it's not going to be
Values
accurate.
were different.
Values were different. Society was different. Like everybody was Christian. And I put that in air quotes, guys, because Christianity is a political movement. It isn't going to show up at your door if you don't go to church on Sunday. You just kind of go to church on Sunday because that's what everybody does.
Yeah.
And you can tell because the church keeps reminding people there's things you're not supposed to do. And if someone is telling you, they do it for us now. We get reminders. Oh, remember, don't do this, is bad. Our governments tell us this all the time. Do you know why they're telling us this? Because some people are doing it.
Jude
My
says
apartment building.
saw an interesting video on why the suffragettes were mainly middle class women and not working class women. One
Yes.
argument was most working class men couldn't vote either.
Yeah. I mean, it's you narrow it and you tunnel vision in because it's a point of but most working class men could not vote because they did not own land. You could only vote if you owned land, and only men could own land. So it only really affects middle and upper class women.
Right.
And they were the basis of the movement because they were also the only classes that had the privilege to think about being educated. Working class people didn't have time for that. They didn't have time. They had to
Yeah.
get up, they had to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we hear people now, you have everybody talking about the inflation and how expensive groceries are. You spent 90% of your budget on food in industrial Victorian England. 90%, 10% of your budget was left over, and that went to housing. You weren't paid great, but I mean, nothing really costed a lot either. So, like, keep that in mind.
Yeah, well, it's all ratios.
Prices,
It doesn't
it's
really
all ratios.
matter what the actual numbers were.
And you had to be in the city to have a job, but and because you were in the city and you were crammed into small spaces, like really small spaces, you also had to deal with things like meat was always slightly off. Eggs and butter were such a luxury, it wasn't even funny. So you have to keep in mind the place in history you're arguing from, not just what it is. Because like I want to argue women should be more in charge. I want to argue that children should be protected because that's how I was raised. I want to argue that nationality is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then my brain goes, but it wasn't. And you know it wasn't.
Just
William the
watching Phaedra
Conqueror
in the
wasn't
background.
going, yeah, my cat. William the Conqueror wasn't going, I am now the King of England, I will be remembered in history forever. He was going, I conquered territory. And next problem.
Yep.
Yeah. It's it's interesting, but yeah, 1066 is a huge year. And it's a huge year for like lots of reasons. It just For the English, it is big because they stop having English kings and they start having Norman kings, which are different. Really? Thanks, monster.
Also says she's DM'd you next month's topic.
Oh, good. I look forward to another super vague thing. Also, I cannot pronounce Anglo-Saxon names to save my soul, but my God, they have beautiful names.
I'll
And
take your
quite
word for it.
frankly, Queen Maud of England, well, technically she's the Empress. Oh man, which Nordic was it that anyway, she's an Empress in one of the Nordic countries from England, and her descendants make up the majority of the ruling class of most kings and queens on the continent.
Hmm.
So, like, we may have not had a lot of women in power, but the occasional woman that we got there did a lot. And, like, she was empress, and then she came back, and then they married her off to someone who was like half her age, which she was not impressed by. And she got rid of him, and then she was in charge for a while, and then she ended up having battles. Who was it that fought against her? Anyway, this is all in English. This is all English stuff. And I mean, eventually she lost, and she wasn't the Queen of England anymore, but her descendants can be traced all the way down through the majority of all royal lines in on the continent.
Hmm.
Her kids went everywhere. She married them off great, made great political alliances, and she had an amazing dynastic impact on the royalty of
Oh,
Europe.
chat says
And like
Stephen
no one
for
knows her.
Maud and Stephen.
Was it Stephen? Must have been Stephen. I don't. You get Stevens, you get Edwards, you get Williams, you get Louise, you get like it just. I don't always remember, and I don't focus in strictly on England. So
There's a lot of names.
that's like saying Caesar for Rome.
There was a lot of Caesar.
They'd be like walking around here going, "Hey, I'm looking for a John."
Yeah.
Like, oh, like the most common name on the planet. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Does he have a last name? Any monk here? What I miss us getting those like it isn't just William, it's William the Conqueror. It's Edward the Confessor. Like where's my thing? Like what am I? I'm Jocelyn the something, probably the bossy, but whatever. You know what I mean?
Jude was
I miss
asking if
that.
this was a 2 hour stream, and ish. Yes, we're coming up rapidly on 2 hours.
Yeah,
Ish.
I get into the history and it becomes a problem for me.
Oh,
I
Chase
won't
is
stop
heading out.
talking.
Thanks for hanging out. Have a good rest of your day.
It's all interconnected and I can't help myself.
Jocelyn Chatty says Asa.
Jocelyn the Chatty would work. That actually would work really well. Jocelyn the Verbose.
Mmm.
Let's make it a fancy chatty. Makes
There
me
we go.
sound makes me sound important. I'm not
Yes. Jocelyn with all the words.
Jocelyn of the words. Anyway, you can also Google like Bayou Tapestry, and there's one app that used to be around. I think it might still be around that would let you create your own little Bayou Tapestry panels. And my girlfriends from history, when we took the course together, kept sending me tapestries. It was like, "Why hast thou not done thy homework?" Like, me the king on the throne with the sword. I doth have put it off. So like that's what I remember first about 1066 is those stupid panels that I would get a picture link from on an email format.
Melanie says Jocelyn the Verbose can be your new Discord name.
It could be my new Discord name. Right now, it's the same social media name I have for like all of my private stuff. But yeah, it could be Jocelyn the Verbose.
Well, you're allowed to have
Uh,
nicknames per server, so.
I am, and if Diana changes it, it will happen. Or if one of the moderators changes it, it will happen. But I won't ever go in and change it.
Let me go change it.
I be lazy. But that's it. If I have got a new topic, ugh, so much hair. I should go start making a loaf of bread for dinner.
I gotta go do some laundry.
Yes, you
I'll
do.
make
You
some
gotta prepare.
stegos, or not stegos, triceratops.
Triceratops. You gotta fly on Wednesday.
I do. I got things to do.
And once the stream's finished, you and I have background scheduling stuff to do.
Yes.
Because we're in a new month, which means we have to schedule the month.
Yep.
So I'm going to do an outro. Hopefully
All
nobody
right.
got bored with me talking about 1066. Then I need to put my flippin' coffee table book away before I knock it over and break a toe. Guys, it's a Sunday, it's alive. It's going to be a long time till you get another episode, but I'm going to say that I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Diana.
And no matter where your week takes you, don't forget
Don't
to
forget
knit.
to knit.
Bye,
All
guys.
right. End the stream.